Okay, so it's July 2nd, August 2nd, 2017. Here's what happened. 2 days ago, minding my own business, on a roll, working in the back. Okay? And along comes my grumpy son. And he wants me to take him to Walmart. Because he can't drive his car yet by himself because he's in the process of getting his license. And he doesn't want me to say anything while he's driving until we get to our destination. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm kind of busy, but I know it's important to you. And since we're going that way, maybe we can go do some banking, because I never get out, people. I never go anywhere. It's too hard for me to walk to where I gotta go. Always busy, under pressure with the city, whatever, you know, the food is growing. I'm going to have to start canning pretty soon, right? Giving stuff away right now. Anyway, so we kind of get to where we got to go, you know, and then I proceed to tell him, right? You know, like, you need to pump your brakes instead of coming to one of those stops. Just pump your brakes as you're coming to a stop, and it will be much smoother. And, you know, in light of the size of the car and the size of your body, I can understand why you're having a hard time turning the wheel, because even me, when I was driving the car, it's kind of like a choppy car. It's not like my car. Like, really, I need to get my car on the road and let him try my car, and he would definitely notice the difference. So, of course, he doesn't want to hear it, right? Because, you know, he's so much better than I am, right? In everything and anything, right? Like, mom is, like, down to... I've been reduced down to a slug, basically, with my kids. Minus my youngest daughter, right? For the most part. My middle daughter, she's moving out. She's moving high up in the horse, right? You know, her solution of helping is chucking stuff out, versus washing things regularly to keep up with, you know, things that... First of all, people, I don't even go down. The only reason it's messy right now downstairs in the basement, for the most part, is because I brought in extra mattresses. I brought in an extra mattress because, you know, I'm getting threats from my kids that they're moving out, which is fine. So I picked up a mattress for $10 so that if I rent out a room... Hold on. There's obviously a loose connection in there because somebody dropped it at one point. If I rent out a room, I have the mattress. My middle daughter didn't want the couch that's down there, so I came across futon for $10, brand new, right? So I had to bring that in from outside in the garage. Obviously, nothing can stay in the garage, right? Because of the state of the garage, right? Just whatever, right? It is what it is. So when I went down there and started going into my food storage, you know, my daughter needed a dresser for baby clothes and stuff. So I said, okay, well, I'll give up that. I don't need as much food storage as I needed before. I want to downsize it anyway and turn this little space into a little sewing room. Get these desks with these sewing machines out of here to open up the living room. So I pulled everything out. I pulled out the dresser for her. It turns out she doesn't want the dresser, you know, and she doesn't know. To be honest with you, I don't even think she really knows what she wants. She just wants me to do all the work. These kids of mine just want me to do the work. If it's done nice for them, they can come along and they're happy. If I leave the laundry that's not even my laundry downstairs and don't touch it and just ignore it, and it sits there and it sits there, and then you know, the towels pile up, and then what happens is they come upstairs, and because they don't want to wash somebody else's towel, even though it's their towel that's been sitting there downstairs for who knows how long, they just come upstairs and grab a clean towel from me, to the point where I hide my towels. And then they get mad right? Because I'm not giving them clean towels. And I'm not washing the ones that are downstairs and anything else that piles up down there. I wash my clothes upstairs, people, and I hang dry. I don't even use the dryer. Okay, so because I move things around, right? And we have to get the couch out to accommodate my middle daughter. right? I'm letting people know that we need to move out the couch. You know, people got to help me. I can't move out a freaking, you know, 700 pound couch by myself. That's impossible, right? And then along comes the city with the whip on the back, right? All of a sudden, I'm having to spend all this time in the backyard with threats of $9,000 bills and all this other crap and evictions and, you know, and then of course I'm getting into the garage now because it's not 20 below weather, right? I mean, it's a grody job. Let's face it. Everything's been rained on, pissed on by cats and thrown around by, you know, human beings and just, you know, crap falling from the ceiling and raptors and just the whole 9 yards. Weather blowing in and, you know, the wind blowing in and the rain blowing in and, you know, like, you know, that nobody cares how I feel. They don't care if my stuff gets ruined. They don't care what it is. They don't care if it's craft material. They don't care if it's pots and pans. They throw my dishes out because they don't want to wash the dishes, people. Who throws dishes out because they don't want to wash them? Who puts dirty dishes in the garage because they don't want to wash them? I go into the garage and find fucking pots and pans that have, and this is mostly it's mostly my younger son that does the pots and pans with the cruddy food in it, doesn't want to wash it, puts it in the fucking garage, and then I come along 3-4 weeks later and have to deal with that crap. And even my middle daughter, before she'll take out her garbage, she'll just let it pile up down there and then blame her brother for it. And then the brother blames the sister. And because I don't go down there and be a maid every freaking day, of course it's going to get out of control. And then my youngest daughter comes home and she gets mad and she wants to move out because she's tired of living with slobs. That's pretty much what's been going on. Right? So, what was I saying? So, okay, I pull out this dresser. Now she doesn't want the dresser. Now she's moving out, which is fine. I'm not renting out the room right away because I don't need the antics of another dysfunctional human being moving into the house, regardless of the house itself downstairs is being messy or whatever, right? You know, I mean, so okay. So what happens is my son says, take me to Walmart. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't get out. I'm tired. I'm worn out. You know, my body hurts. I can't see very well. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in terms of, you know, looking after Andre with trying to give him, like, you know, the playhouse. And, you know, I'm trying to protect his toys by building in an actual shed that should have been built 2 years ago. But we know Uncle John went missing, so that shed never got finished, and everybody's holding that over my head, as if I'm the one that medically kidnapped Uncle John and profiteered off his income. And then turned around and sabotaged an innocent family. And then blame me for it. Right? Because Joan didn't like to do nothing. So when Joan moved in, and I don't have to. It's not my responsibility. I don't want to. They heard that from her so much that they just started doing that. Right? They learned it. They didn't learn it from me. Obviously, you can see I'm always working. Right? But they seem to think that I'm their maid. So, okay, we go. And because he's ragging on me. He's ragging on me. I get to the bank. You know, we get to the Walmart parking lot. You know, I give him, you know, little pointers. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And I'm like, well, you told me to tell you what I thought of your driving when we got to the parking lot, and now that I'm doing it, you don't want to hear it. Oh, not. And I'm like, okay, fine, no problem. I got to go to the bank machine, right? And then I realized that he was only going to give me $400 in rent because he gave me a little extra money last month. So he was going to, instead of pay $5, he's going to pay $4. And I'm like, holy shit. And because Shimei's not paying rent, I don't have enough to meet the bills now. So I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, you know, credit card's not going to get the full payment. It's only going to get $50. So I go to the bank machine, and by this time I'm fucking shaking because my 6'2" fucking son is standing over me, you know, making me feel like a piece of fucking shit, like the fucking city and everybody else fucking around me that just wants to, you know, just be a hound dog and eat the fucking fox, right? You know, I'm the fox, people, that's being torn apart here, okay? So, long story short, due to that stress, right? Because you have to remember, I was outside working with skill saws and doing all that by myself, right? So I'm kind of worn out, right? My eyes bother me. Sure, I don't have that pressure in my eyes, but when I take off my glasses, you know, you can watch the way my eyes carry on in terms of when I talk. You know, you can tell that they're agitated. You can tell that I can't focus very well. I mean, I can come a little closer because when I watch my videos, I can see it for myself. And I can tell you if I get to an eye doctor, if and when, because I have to get another referral, but I don't even have time to go to the fucking doctor, never mind get a referral. Right? Which will be 3 months down the line from the time I get to go see the doctor. So by the time I get to go see the eye specialist, she'll be like, damn, what happened? Your eyes have deteriorated. And I'll be like, no kidding. Because I can tell, people. I can tell. If I lose these things or they break, I'm hooped. And these are just dollar store glasses. That's the healthcare system in British Columbia, Canada. Don't believe what you hear. Okay? In terms of everything's free. That's bullshit. Yeah, every 3 fucking years. And if they want to skip a fucking year and make it into 4 years, they'll do it through your file. And then when you go and you finally go into the 4th year, they'll say, why weren't you here last year? And I'll be like, well, I don't know. Why did you send me away? All right? Because my file is flagged, people, right? Fraser Health doesn't want to take responsibility for what they've done to John. Or anyone else, for that matter, when they do the kind of things that they do in order to prop up their old folks' homes and that type of shit, right? In partnership with the public guardian and trustee, right? Everybody's getting paid, right? So I do my banking, whatever. 2 days later, fast forward, I'm running around the house looking for my little Royal Bank blue book with my credit cards in there or whatever and all my PIN numbers and everything, and I can't find it. And this is the point of this video. I can't find it. Because my kids are stressing me out. They're kind of doing a GMOI, you know? They're walking on past everything, but they're not fucking helping. And as they're walking, they're tossing. They're tossing the garbage. They're piling up the towels. And then they get mad at me when they can't come upstairs and grab another fucking towel. They get mad at me when I tell them that I can't afford to feed them and that they need to kind of like feed themselves. And if they are going to fucking eat the food that's upstairs, they should replace it. And then when I ask them for money to replace it, they don't want to give it to me because for some reason they seem to think that they raised themselves. And I didn't go into debt looking after them because all my debt load went because of the nonprofit. Right? Because the nonprofit owes me probably about $27,000, which I don't ever expect to see because we know how politics actually works. They make you think that you can accomplish something in the world and be free and be prosperous and have opportunity. But when it comes right down to the crunch, you know, poverty pimping is poverty pimping. And God forbid if I would have been successful at running 50-50s in nightclubs to actually help the homeless people out here, or anybody out here for that matter, in the city of Surrey, when the mayor certainly doesn't want to do it. Right? Because I would become popular, because that money would have went to the people like it was intended to do. So before they'd allow that to happen, they just denied the proposal, even though the 50-50 was approved on a provincial level through the Gaming Enforcement Branch. Because they like these people out on the streets, half dead, sleeping in tents, being rustled up at 7 o'clock in the morning to pack up and move along, to come back the next day and do it again and again and again and again as the city targets vulnerable families to get them forced out of their house so that they can give the perception to the immigrant investor from China or places like that that it's worth putting in $1.2 million for a bloodbath. Not afraid to say it, people. So with all that stress and with the whip on my back, working under a caste system, with my son jumping on that bandwagon because he can Google what goes into the compost bin. Are pizza boxes allowed to go into the compost bin? Because I said, they don't even recycle things properly. Right? And I'm like, I don't think you can put compost, like pizza boxes in compost bins for the city. I don't know. Yeah, you can. I'm going to Google it. I said, okay, well, you go ahead and Google it. Well, it turns out apparently you can. So therefore, that makes him 100% correct on everything as he's throwing my dishes out because he's too fucking lazy to wash them, right along with my middle daughter. Right? And then blame me for their dirty dishes even though I never go downstairs and cook. Right? They come upstairs and take my dishes down when they don't have dishes. And then they throw out those dishes without realizing that at some point I had to pay for those dishes. So anyway, on the phone today, talking to, as I'm canceling these credit cards or whatnot, right? You know, I'm explaining that, you know, I got picked on by my son. You know, I was already stressed out. I was using the skill saw, whatever. I'm tired. You know, I'm not feeling very well. I go out of my way to help him. I take advantage of that situation to do a little banking because otherwise I have to walk, which who knows when that will happen because I'm too tired. And then when we get there, you know, he's still not satisfied and he's ragging on me about this and ragging on me about that. It's right before I go to the bank machine. So yeah, no kidding. No wonder why I lost my shit. No wonder why I lost my shit. So when I see him today or whenever, I'm going to tell him, don't ask me to go to fucking Walmart with you anymore. I'm not. Because first of all, I'm your mother. You know, if you want to talk to me like trash because you want to sit up there and do a GMOI and let that fucking shit affect your self-esteem and because you went to college and put yourself into debt because you didn't want to take my advice and keep it short and sweet with a specialty in terms of like if you want to be a teacher, then fucking be a teacher. I didn't ask you to change your shit to be rebellious halfway through this, you know, right? There was nothing making you stay there for those 6 years except you. And now that you owe all that money, you're mad at me. And you're taking it out on me. And because I don't want to move into another house with you after I leave this house, why would I? To find my dirty dishes, my dishes, dirty, in the next garage. As you're standing there telling me that you know everything, and that I treat you just as a tool, even though you don't help me with nothing. Same thing with my middle daughter. All right? Wait till the shit hits the fan where she moves and the shit starts piling up and she has to drag her ass out with the fucking garbage and put it in the fucking garbage. We know she won't recycle properly because that's not important to her. She'll just throw everything as is into one bag, chuck it out, and then expect to go out and buy new stuff. Well, she can buy new stuff, and when she's having to pay for that new stuff, she'll realize what water and soap is and a little bit of elbow grease and why Mom encouraged her to use it. So anyway, I got these walnut stuff. Somebody's taking walnuts from the big trees. But there's another couple of trees Andre and I have been going to, the smaller ones. And we've been getting those ones. A lot of animals have been eating them, so I'm just taking the husks or whatever for now. So I'm going to work on... Do you see my eyes, people? Do you see how tired my eyes are? It's because they're sore, people. They're sore. And then as soon as I start seeing the eye doctor, that's when it starts to feel like I've got those thumbs in my eyes. Right now, I feel like I've got a film over them where they're either itchy, dry... I don't get sharp pains going through them, but I do have a little pressure in here. Right? But not like the one like when I'm actually seeing the eye doctor and they come up with those machines and they push on your eyeball, right? in your head you can't go anywhere, right? And they put those drops. One time they put those drops in so bad that by the time I got to my car, I was spitting out big green gobs of that freezing agent. What, was that a mistake? Or was that done on purpose? A whole bottle. It must have been a whole bottle because it was big green gobs. That only happened to me one time. Like I said, I don't trust the healthcare system and their employees at this point.
Oh.
Right? Because people are too quick to jump on bandwagons without doing their research. Or, we live in a bully state. So, Andre, please, I'm going to end it on this note. So as I'm talking to these people, canceling my credit cards and whatnot, I was talking to one woman, and she was telling me that she had the same problem. She had the same problem with her adult children. One was 25, right? Talking rude to her, thinking that they know everything, right? But yet, she said she sat there one time with watching her kids with their friends sitting at a table, and nobody was talking to each other. Everybody at that table, Andre, stop, Andre. Everybody at that table, and this is what she witnessed, was on their cell phone texting each other. They weren't talking to each other. They were texting to each other. So the internet definitely plays a role in this antisocial, let's beat up our parents, attitude. And, in order to make ourselves feel like men and women, right? And, able to cope with the world in terms of, becoming adults that are functional. So I am going to do these walnuts. I'm not going to stress out. And I am going to go outside, work on Andre's shed. Not going to videotape. I'm just going to work on. I'm going to convert this over now as I'm doing the walnuts and put this up. And after I'm done the walnuts, I'm going to go outside and I'm just going to continue working on Andre's shed. And I'm not going to be going to no Walmarts or anything like that for anybody, being distracted. And as I'm being distracted, being told that I'm no good, right? That I'm a worn out sap, right? And that I serve no purpose in life other than to be a batting board to a pissed off human being that can't even wash their own freaking pot or bowl or cup or freaking towel or whatever. And it's not because they can't do it, it's because they don't want to do it, because they expect their mother to go in there and be a fucking maid for them, basically. And I'm not a maid. This is a big house. They don't like me out in the yard. They seem to think that the landlord should be doing the yard. You know what? If I would have left it up to the landlord, it would look like the way it was when I first moved in. And if I hang in there like a dirty shirt and I just pace myself through it, by the end of October, November, it's going to be a big difference. And I'm looking forward to it. And to heck with my kids. I'm serious. To heck with my kids. They have a different, they have a different perception of reality. That's what it is, people. Right? But when the shit hits the fan, hold on a minute.
No, sure.
When the shit hits the fan, well, where did you find that?
Outside.
Okay, well, I don't know. That's one of the kids doing that. When the shit hits the fan and they gotta go look for something to eat because the grocery stores are empty, the gas lines are down, or whatever, well, I don't know how they're gonna survive. I really don't. And if they don't ever want to plant a garden in their life for the whole time that they're alive, that's their business, but they don't have to beat me up over it, right? They should be helping me with Andre's shed. instead of just walking on by and then expecting me to drop everything so that I take them to where they need to go, or I give them what they need in terms of to come upstairs, eat the food or whatever, and then just like, if you don't have kids, seriously, don't have too many kids, if any at all. It's not worth it if they're going to grow up and just be abusive, right? Now, mind you, not everybody loses family members like the way my family has lost family members, right? And if you notice, within the First Nations, shush up! If you notice, within the First Nations, the Native people, right? They have a lot of domestic violence and a lot of dysfunction and shit like that because their families have been ripped apart for a very long time. Same thing with a lot of blacks in America. There's a lot of issues as well because their families have been ripped apart. It's called psychological warfare, right? And it does. It affects families and it tears, it separates us. And when you go online, lots of people are picking up the fact that there is an attack on families. Unfortunately, it only seems to be some families, right? Some families, these prearranged marriages and polygamous marriages and that kind of thing, maybe not so much for whatever reason. I don't know why. If a polygamous, if a Muslim polygamous family was attacked like the way my family was attacked in terms of people just disappearing under some slave commodity ideology through government agencies to prop up ministry budgets and that type of thing, or old folks' homes under the privatization of the healthcare system, would there, is it because they're afraid that there would be a huge uproar? Why is it only one Punjabi gets medically kidnapped out of 1 million Punjabis, but the Caucasians are getting medically kidnapped for their houses? We'll say 10 out of every, I don't know what the statistic would be, but we'll just say 10 out of every 1,000. So for every 1,000 Caucasian families, 10 are being medically kidnapped for their assets and their homes. Whereas in the Punjabi community, it's 1 in 1 million. Now, why is that? Is it because if it was 10 out of every 1,000, all of a sudden the Punjabis would be crying on about institutional racism and how the system is attacking them through racism, and that it's specifically being targeted at them, and the people that facilitate this stuff just don't want to deal with the backlash? Is that what that is? Whereas white people are conditioned to put their old people into old folks' homes because once those parents are done raising their kids are kind of like growing up to be like my kids, where they just don't have no use or respect for their parents anymore, and they treat them like trash, and they just lock them away like their dirty secrets, and or they're easy targets like Uncle John was, in terms of you don't get a say in the matter, right? We, the team, are going to decide how you're going to live your end days as we profiteer off of your money, because the Chorney family can't stand up and fight for you against the corporations in terms of Fraser Health Authority and CIBC Bank. That's like Goliath and Galore, or no, not like David and Goliath. I guess I'm David, and I guess the corporation is Goliath.